blog, maybe.
Okay.
Of course, he can hear us, so I'm sitting here talking about him. Hi, Corey.
Won't you listen to reason? Will you open your eyes? It's a wonder what you'll find with an open mind. You may be surprised. Yeah, gotta get away from this illusion for the sake of the world. This delusion has gotta go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Atheist Experience. I'm your host, Russell Glasser, and with me today is Jeff D., looking marvelous.
Hi, Russell. I'll explain this later.
Okay.
After you finish your announcements.
Today is Sunday, July 8th. We are a live call-in public access television show based in Austin, Texas, dedicated to promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. We are also available through live streaming video at ustream.tv. The official Atheist Experience website is www.atheist-community.org. Atheist-experience.com, my mistake. You can also provide feedback by commenting on the official show blog at freethoughtblogs.com/AXP, or you can email us at tv@atheist-community.org. If you enjoy this show, you can check out our related podcasts, which you can find through the Google machine by looking up The Nonprofits, PHET, or Godless Bitches. As always, the cast and crew of The Atheist Experience will be going to dinner after the show at 6 p.m. at El Arroyo, 1624 West 5th Street in Austin, and visitors are welcome. All right, that's it for the announcements.
The Mohawk. So last night I appeared on the Trolling with Logic podcast. They did a 12-hour-long marathon to raise money for our own local Atheists Helping the Homeless organization.
That's the URL down there if you're watching.
And during my appearance in the last few minutes, we challenged people to throw more money at the cause in exchange for which I would do this. Okay? So everybody take a good look.
And if you are just listening to the podcast, you really should look up the YouTube edition of this episode just so you can see Jeff's hair. Are we going to dive straight into callers today? I think that is the plan.
Are we ready to?
Yes.
Awesome.
I mean, I am. I don't know about you.
I'm ready.
Okay. Matt in Oslo, Norway, making a return from last week.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay.
I heard your call last week, you know.
Oh, nice.
I looked up the Tasmanian tiger. You don't want to talk about that a little more, do you?
No, I'm done with that shit.
Okay, because you did email us and said when I looked it up, it's a marsupial and it's a good example of convergent evolution, but you said in email that you don't think it proves creation anymore, right?
I actually found out that the example was pretty bad for creation, so
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your looking that up.
Yeah, so I got a new thing to prove creationism.
Okay, what's that?
Okay, initially I was going to talk about the dinosaurs that exist, like that was found now in the last century, but Mr. Dillante's boneheadedness and arrogancy made me not want to do that. So instead, I chose Ica
Wait,
stones,
why
which
not?
are. Excuse me?
What does Matt being a bonehead have to do with not wanting to use this particular example? I'd like to hear about the dinosaur.
But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I chose Ica stones instead. You know, I can talk about both, but that would require like an hour or something. And I don't want to take up that much time.
I can talk about it for a minute. You actually sent us a link to Wikipedia, which says that there was a carcass which was found, which creationists claim to be a prehistoric plesiosaur, but then right there on the same link it said that several scientists insisted that they analyzed it and found out that it was the carcass of a basking shark, which had decayed a certain amount and so looked like something other than a shark.
Yeah.
So that one didn't work. Next.
Right. Can we please talk about the ecostones now? Okay.
Sure.
First of all, if creationism is true, then dinosaurs and humans should have coexisted, right? Do you agree on that?
Not necessarily.
It's
There are
not
old
that
Earth
though, because
creationists.
dinosaurs did exist, right?
You mean
And
you mean if young Earth creationism, according to the Old Testament, is true? Because there are
Yes.
different varieties of creationism, and
well,
you know,
the one that Kent Hovind goes by, if you know who that is.
Right.
All right.
Yes, he's the guy who's in jail for
that
tax
that
evasion.
does narrow it down. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so about that. We must agree on that, though, until I can move on. That
Yes, I think we would agree that according to Kent Hovind's interpretation, the humans and dinosaurs would have coexisted. You realize, of course, that if by some freakish coincidence, dinosaurs from many millions of years ago had, even one species had survived long enough to coexist with humans, that could happen outside the bounds of creationism too. So just show, even if, which I don't think you can do, but even if you could show evidence of humans and dinosaurs coexisting, that would not prove creationism.
Well, it's at least better than no evidence,
Not really.
No, I'll give him that. Right?
okay,
It would be a
it's better
start.
than
Go
nothing.
ahead. What's
All right.
what's your evidence of this?
Okay, so in Peru there was like 15,000 stones found with etchings and carvings of dinosaurs apparently coexisting with humans and also showing very advanced medical technology. And and the first reported sighting of these stones was in 1535 by
Reported by
Father
who?
Simon.
Reported by who?
Father Simon.
Who's that?
He was a Spanish priest and Jesuit missionary from Spain, okay? And he's the one who saw the first one, okay?
I don't
Now-
know that that's true because I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for this one, which is
Oh,
this is the
Wikipedia, man, come on.
icostones that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I'm also reading stuff.
Okay, because according to this was popularized by Eric von Däniken, and there was an
Yeah,
interview that he did with the farmers who claimed to have found these stones, and they actually admitted to forging them.
Yeah, some are fake. Some are fake,
Okay.
yes. But not every one of them, and I can also
How do you
prove that.
know?
Yeah, how do you know that they're not all fake? If we know, in fact, that some were, how do you know that some weren't?
Because there's a layer of patina on the surface of many of the carvings, indicating that the images are several hundred years old at least.
Have these
Especially
things
since they
been
were found in a dry
analyzed and
area.
demonstrated
Peru
to
is
be
a desert.
several hundred years old? I mean, isn't this the kind of thing that science is kind of good at?
Yeah, if you will.
So have they?
Hmm?
Have they been analyzed that way?
Yes, they have been dated by many people. Everyone's interested in this stuff.
They have.
Especially the scientists.
They have been analyzed and dated, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because everyone is very
Because I'm
interested
not
in this.
seeing that. Do you have like a reference for that, like a peer-reviewed paper or something?
Yeah, but I'm reading this off a site.
What's the site? Just curious.
Why does that matter?
Well, I mean,
I don't feel
because
that's
if you were
relevant.
reading it off of like a science journal site, that would lend some credibility to it.
Why does it
If
have
you're
to be a
reading it
science
off of
journal?
like creationscience.org or something like that, then I would not be inclined to believe it because creationists lie a lot.
Yeah. Well, why do you need to know where it's from? It doesn't matter. There's many sources of information on the internet.
No. You do not get to call the show and make a claim and then back that claim by the further claim that there are many sources that support you without providing any of those sources.
Yeah, because
Okay, fine.
believe it or
That's
not,
just
some
you could just I could say there are many sources that tell me anything, right? That doesn't prove a thing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, man.
Okay.
creationwiki.org/Icastones.
Okay.
So it's not just a creation site, it's a wiki that anybody could type anything into.
Yes, I know. A second
It's
ago,
like
you were
Wikipedia,
poo-pooing Wikipedia for the same reason, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think we're done.
All right. Thanks for calling. Corey in Schenectady, New York.
Hello?
Hi, Corey.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Hi, first things first, this is to Jeff D. I don't
Hi.
care about your opinion, nor do I respect it, so if
Oh,
you could just be
okay,
a fluff.
then thanks for calling.
Fantastic. Who's next?
We're being way too efficient today. I think this is going to be a problem. If you don't care about our opinion, then why are you calling the show? Jacob, also in Oslo.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, do you hear me?
Hey, do you know this other guy, Matt, by any chance?
Yeah, he's my brother.
Oh. Do you have something? Are you in the room with Matt right now?
No,
What?
we live in different apartments.
Okay,
okay.
well, we just finished talking to him.
Okay.
Do you have other stuff that's going to support your guys' point of view?
Yes, I'm gonna prove to you that the Bible knew the earth was round before science knew about it, and therefore it was divinely inspired, and therefore God exists.
You realize the roundness of the Earth was established by very primitive measurements. There was just some mathematics to go with those measurements to establish that the Earth was round. This was like, I don't know the exact age,
The
roughly
ancient Greeks knew about it.
there. So just even if it's true, even if you could establish beyond a shadow of the doubt that the roundness of the earth was clearly indicated in the Bible, that would not prove that that knowledge came from a God, would it?
Well, if they knew about it in Greece, it doesn't mean they would know about it like in Middle East where the Bible was wrote.
No, but if they figured it out in Greece without a God, then they could have figured it out in the Middle East without a God.
Yeah, and the way they figured it out in Greece is that they watched ships, and they noticed that if you watch a ship disappearing over the horizon, no matter which direction it's going, the top disappears last because there's always curvature downward. So they not only figured out that the Earth was round, they actually worked out a rough calculation of about how big it was, way, way before satellites were needed to establish that.
So, go ahead and read us your Bible verse with the understanding that even if you have a Bible verse that clearly states on no uncertain terms that the earth is a sphere, that doesn't prove a thing. Go ahead.
You want me to read the Bible thing?
Yeah, sure.
Well, you
Go
know,
for it.
we'll give you a shot.
Okay, I'll do it. Are you ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, it says in Isaiah 40:21 to 10:22, do you not know, have you not heard, has it not been told to you from the beginning, have you not understood since the earth was founded, he sits enthroned above the circle of the earth.
So it's a circle.
So why would he say the circle of the earth if it was thought to be flat at that time?
Because if you're on a flat surface and you go to a high point and you look all around, you see roughly the same distance in all directions, and that puts you in the middle of a circle. That's why.
Hey, Jacob, what do
Not
you
a
think
sphere, you understand. Not a sphere, it's a circle.
Yeah.
What do you
Which is
think of
inaccurate.
Matthew 4:8? I'm just wondering.
What does that say?
It says the devil took Jesus to a very high mountain and showed
that
him
one,
all
yeah.
the kingdoms
That's
of the
actually
world.
talking about like the poles, like north, west, south, and east.
Okay. Did they see like stuff in China from there, from that mountain?
Well, Jesus was omnipotent, so I guess he could.
It was
So
the
why did they
devil
bother to
omnipotent?
climb up the mountain?
Was the devil omnipotent? This passage says the devil showed this stuff to Jesus.
Yeah, and Jesus saw all the kingdoms of the earth or whatever.
So the devil is omnipotent and can show Jesus things around the curvature of the earth. Interesting.
Well, you'd think if you had like a big domain in hell, you'd be at least somewhat powerful.
And where is no? Good grief. Anyway, well, that was cute, but you know, your passage about the Earth does not say it's a sphere. It says it's round, and while roundness is a characteristic of a sphere, it's also something that primitive people would easily leap to that conclusion just by looking in all directions and noticing the horizon seems to be the same distance away in all directions.
And of course, there's the ancient Greeks who figured this out for themselves.
They figured out that it was actually a sphere.
Even if it had been a sphere, it wouldn't have been. We wouldn't have jumped to the conclusion that it was by magic that they figured this out.
You got anything else?
Yeah, you're going to hell.
Okay.
Alrighty. And then
The chat room is waiting for you to blow up, Jeff. You're not going to give them the satisfaction, are you? All right, we've burned through all our Christian callers in 16 minutes. I kind of feel bad about that, but not really. Danny in
welcome
Chicago.
to call back if they got anything else.
Yeah.
Hello?
The guy in Schenectady is welcome to call back if he apologizes.
Hello?
Hi, Danny.
Hi. I wanted to talk about, you know how some movies will create their own religions for the story and stuff?
Yeah.
Why do some of them get a lot of slack from Christians and other religions when others don't? Is there like a specific reason?
Could you ask?
That's a good
What was
question.
that?
I mean, from the perspective of Christians, wouldn't all non-Christian religions have to be made up? I mean, not just the ones explicitly made up for like books and movies, but all other religions would be made up, right? And they don't like those either. So maybe it's just because it's the same sort of thing.
Yeah, I suppose, but it seems like some movies where they make up religions, they don't even get as mad about it, like Star Wars, and other ones like the Golden Compass, they really get pissed off about it. I mean, I know.
Well, the Golden Compass
more,
explicitly was saying stuff about something that looked an awful lot like Christianity.
Yeah, I know.
By an author who was explicitly an atheist, expressing his views. So that's different.
Right.
As far as I know, George Lucas was not taking a swipe at Christianity when he invented the Star Wars religion.
Although, a lot of Christians will jump to claim credit by mining a story for metaphors and then saying, see, that's really just Christianity in another guise. I mean, and there are science fiction movies that explicitly invoke some kind of metaphor like that, or, fantasy stories like the Narnia books, and Orson Scott Card's books that actually, come up with some kind of retelling of the Book of Mormon.
Okay. It just seems like even some movies where they make Christian the bad guy, like the one by Darwin's ancestor came out 2 years ago.
Help me out here. Matthew Chapman did that thing with Liv Tyler that was explicitly an atheist movie with a love triangle with a Christian. But I mean that's a pretty unusual case because that's a guy who's kind of on our team specifically making a movie.
Okay. That's all I wanted to ask.
Okay. Hey, I'm going to give you a page that you're going to spend hours on. It's on tvtropes.org. And when you get there, search for No Such Thing as Space Jesus.
Okay.
I think your question is common enough that there's a page dedicated to it with a whole giant list of examples, which starts with the quote from Star Trek V: "What does God need with a starship?"
Wait, one last thing. I was listening to old nonprofits, and you guys were talking about the Hell House. Did you guys ever actually go back there, in the and like dresses and stuff, like you were talking about?
I think
You ever
various of us have been there several times on various Halloweens. I think I blogged it a few times. If you search the Atheist Experience blog for Hell House.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks.
That is kind of interesting, you know, what he brings up. Well, why on earth would these folks who believe that they are following the one true correct God get so bent out of shape by explicitly made up gods in fiction and movies and stuff?
They're concerned about their youth being corrupted by worldliness.
You think so?
Yeah,
maybe we've got Christians watching the show who would call in and comment on that. What's wrong with the mythology stuff in Lord of the Rings or in Star Wars or any of those things? Why is any of that a problem?
Yeah, maybe. I listened to Way of the Master, which is the program that's associated with Ray Comfort.
Yeah.
Not hosted by him, but that guy is always complaining about worldly stuff. And in a similar vein, Christians are always warning parents about sending their kids to college because they're afraid that when kids are exposed to the wider world, they're going to lose their faith, which actually turns out to be true.
Why are they worried about their kids being exposed to stuff that is explicitly made up, right? That nobody is claiming this is actually true. It's just fiction for fun. Why is that a problem for
As
them?
a science fiction fan, you ought to know
curious.
that like really deep concepts are sometimes explored in science fiction in a way that they couldn't be without coming up with those metaphors.
And that's the thing. Maybe those things give people a way of exploring those concepts without doing it through the lens of Christianity.
I don't know
and
that
so
that's
they might
really the
not
thing.
come out with the. Well, that's an interesting idea.
But they're very careful about controlling information, and that's just one of many ways.
Alrighty.
Let's space it out a little bit. I'm going to go to Anna in Hampton, Virginia.
Anna?
Anna.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on the recent news with Valerie Hodges from Louisiana, where she no longer supports the voucher program for religious schools because they apply to Muslim schools.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that bit him in the ass, didn't it? You would think. I don't understand how they could have gotten that far and passed that law without thinking at all about the ramifications of it. It's just astonishing to me, the lack of consideration of the obvious consequences of their own actions.
They must think that Christianity occupies a special status, and then they have to use all these tricks to make the religious money go to the religious schools, not realizing that this is protecting individual sects of Christianity and Christianity in itself as much as it's protecting atheism. I mean, as an atheist, I don't want my kid winding up going to a school that preaches Jesus bullshit. I don't want him going to a school that preaches Islam either. And the more religions you get, the less likely it is that it's your money is going to be going to the one you like.
And I'll bet you don't need your kid going to a school that's going to explicitly teach him atheism either.
Nope.
Because you are a parent and can handle that at home.
Yeah, and just like they say on Way of the Master, just by being exposed to the rest of the world and not kept in a little bubble, he's going to tend toward atheism anyway.
She says that she thought it would be limited to the founders' religion, as if,
Why did she think that?
Okay.
Why on earth did she think that?
If they said if they wanted to limit stuff to their own religion, they would have said so.
What was that?
Maybe she thinks the only real religion is the Christian one.
Well, I'm sure that's what she thinks, but she's apparently not even aware enough that other religions are practiced in this country for it to have ever crossed her mind that if they pass a blanket law channeling government funds to religious schools, that those are going to include some religious schools that aren't her religion. It's crazy.
Do you think it's more about her being
stupid is what it is.
anti-Muslim rather than just any other religion besides Christianity?
Say again?
Do you think it might be more about her bigotry towards the Islamic faith rather than just it not
Well,
being
I'm sure
I'm
it
sure
is.
she'd freak out just as much if it were a Wiccan school.
Yeah, I'm having trouble even getting past the fact that they passed that law in the first place without it ever having occurred to them that this could be the consequence.
You know, people demonize
She's
atheists
surprised.
for fighting
Why is she
these
surprised
laws.
that that's what their own damn law means?
People don't realize, people demonize atheists for fighting these laws without realizing that we're doing it for them too. That they really, that we're trying to help them see that this is not going to be the great thing that you think it is, and we're saving you from yourselves.
So there you go.
All right.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right.
Thanks for calling.
See you on Facebook, right?
Yeah, see you.
Bye. Emmanuel in Madison, Wisconsin. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you guys doing?
Fine.
All right, awesome. I guess I wanted to begin by saying I appreciate your show. I appreciate you, flexing your intellectual ability and trying to think things out. I think people who come on and are belligerent aren't really representing the Christian faith really well, so I want to apologize for that right off the bat.
Okay.
All right. So what I wanted to talk about is sort of the really premise of atheism, the rejection of the positive claim of a deity or really anything supernatural, so to speak, because of the lack of meeting a burden of proof, if you will. Is that correct?
That's pretty close.
That's well said, actually.
Well, actually, you sort of state yourself, and then we can go from there.
No, I'm.
We're happy with the way you said it. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I think again that's a great way to put it, and I know it allows you to say, oh, we're going to push the burden of proof on you to prove this, this God exists.
Oh, no. Wait. What is this?
No, not
who's
push.
pushing?
Okay, sorry. No, I agree that the burden of proof is on the person making the positive claim.
Okay.
I agree. That is a fact. That's a fact. The thing that we sort of get into cloudy sort of double talk is when you then take that and then you say you believe in, say, a natural universe, a universe that has natural origins. Again, so is that something I'll ask you two can answer? Do you believe that the universe had natural origins?
Well, we all agree that the universe exists, and we agree that natural processes exist. And so in the absence of some other thing besides natural processes, the best estimate we can make is that the things that we've actually observed have a causal relation. That doesn't mean that we've completely excluded the possibility of a God having created it. It just means that in the absence of evidence for what actually did the causing, you either say you don't know or you fall back on the stuff that you do know.
See, that's the thing, is that we don't know anything about the origin of the universe.
No, it's not true that we don't know anything. We know, we know back to the Planck time, for instance. Would you agree with that?
So I see. This is the thing: is that what do we know? See, when you talk about what we know back to the Planck time, I understand what scientists have told you. They believe about the Planck time based on the observations that they have made during this current time. But again, though that's not something that you can say definitively, and that's something scientists would never say definitively.
But it is something based, as you say, on observations, which gives it a leg up over anything that is based on revelation or dreams or ancient holy texts. It just does. It may not be perfect, but it automatically wins over stuff like that.
Wait. So so you say observations. So you make an observation such that there's background radiation, the universe is expanding. Therefore, it must have started from a single point. So you make an observation like that. You make a conclusion based on that observation. How is that different from the, I guess, general observation of everyone in, every period of time where a religious text has come from, thousands of years ago that has said, God said this. It's an observation. There's a text here, right? That's something we have. We have the text.
But I mean, we don't believe that the Big Bang is accurate because we read it in books. I mean, what we're observing is not people who say that the Big Bang exists. We're observing actual physical artifacts, not just people saying stuff.
No,
I'm not talking about the claims made in the book.
Emmanuel.
I'm talking about the
not artifacts.
Actual,
I just realized.
So that we have a book, right? So say we didn't have a book.
Hang on, Emmanuel. I get you. I get you. You're saying those people that wrote those books observed that stuff, right?
I'm not even saying that.
No.
I'm not even going as far as there. No.
Okay.
I'm simply saying the actual book. The fact that we have a book.
Yeah.
That says that, and multiple books that say that God, or some supernatural entity, right, gave them that. So that is an observation that would, I guess, suggest that the supernatural does exist. That is an observation.
Fine. We have an observation.
You don't even have to touch the
Emmanuel.
Correct.
We have an observation that there are numerous holy books that are associated with various religions. Yes, we have that observation. There are such books. Now, what do we conclude from that? It sounds to me like you're thinking it might be reasonable to conclude that because there are a bunch of holy books, that therefore there must be something to the beliefs associated with those books.
No, I'm saying in the same way that you observe background radiation, right? And you make conclusions based on that observation.
I'm asking you what conclusion are you suggesting might be reasonably drawn from the existence of holy books?
Are you done? Sorry,
let me finish phrasing my question. I'm asking you, what conclusion do you think might reasonably be drawn from the observation that there are a bunch of different ancient holy books?
There are a bunch of conclusions that can be drawn, right?
Such as?
One of the viable. It's not inviolable, right? It's not ridiculous to assume or to make a conclusion that there possibly was supernatural, or that there's some event or something that actually gave these people these revelations that they wrote down and that it got passed. That's not an unreasonable conclusion.
No, it is an unreasonable.
Hang on. Can we respond to these one by one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I thought you had a response. I have a response to that.
I do, because, he was saying from the existence of these books, it's not an unreasonable conclusion that the stuff that's written in them is true. And there's no way to jump to that conclusion. We have Aesop's fables also. And they're very old, and they don't explicitly say this is actually a work of fiction, by the way. Somebody stumbling across this book might actually believe in a talking fox who found a bunch of grapes. But the fact that we observe the book to exist doesn't justify concluding anything specific about the accuracy of the book.
And the fact that we can see not just Aesop's fables, but vast numbers of different collections of fairy tales that were put together from a lot of different cultures, from people throughout history, right? The existence of all those does not lend any more credence to the idea that there were actually talking animals, or that any of the events described in those stories actually happened. And just take a step sideways from there, and we're talking about religion instead of things explicitly admitted to be fairy tales. We know that people write things down that ain't so. We know that people have hallucinations. We know that people do all. There's all kinds of behaviors that explain the existence of inaccurate ancient writings. That there's no particular reason to leap to the conclusion that books describing events which cannot be duplicated now are describing, in fact, giving accurate descriptions of events that happened in the past. Why would we?
You can make, again, that's a conclusion that's reasonable. But again, we also have texts from ancient times that we believe to be true, but really,
no, some people believe to be
text,
true.
right? And the texts that we believe that aren't true, that are not to be true, are based on the presence of things that we don't believe could happen. You understand? So your way, your textual criticism that you're using for ancient documents is based on your claim that these events do not exist. So if you find a book about Nero,
Hey.
Emperor, if we found it if we found it in a cave and we found something about Nero, right? And this was the first time we found it, and we're reading through it, and everything in there is completely, natural. There's nothing weird about it. Then we assume that that's true. It's from that time period. That's when Nero lived. This book is true. If there's anything in that book that says,
how do you get to the how do you get to the assertion this book is true? At no point did we make an actual logical connection there. It's we found this book and this book is true. It's like, dot dot dot.
Oh, but that is what history is. You do understand we collect.
Yeah, but Emmanuel,
from history, do you not believe that history is true? I mean, what do you believe from your history?
Yes,
books?
but you
reject the positive claim.
Emmanuel, where I think we're responding to a very specific point. The way you describe this is there is a book about Nero found in a cave, and everything that's described in it is naturalistic. Therefore, we assume that it is true, and that's not true either.
Yeah, that's not
just
how history
because something
works.
is described in naturalistic terms does not make it true. If something can be verified by other sources, right, or found to be true by recreating the conditions and seeing that why in fact that is the way things happen, then we believe that it's true.
Well, okay,
you're overblowing the significance of naturalism for us. To us, naturalism is a conclusion. It's not an assumption. It's a conclusion based on the evidence.
Okay, so, I want you to, we'll go back to the history point. What you're saying is, if we found a book about Nero today that has some extra information that we did not know about him in history, we would, because we have no reference point for that, we would immediately say that that's not true, even if it's from the time period.
No, we wouldn't say that it was true, and we wouldn't say that it wasn't true until we were able to corroborate it with other sources. Then we would put it as an extremely dubious possible bit of information. Things that come from single sources. I mean, the way that science works, when you're talking about the scientific observations, is that it's possible on an ongoing basis to continue to observe things that lead us to certain naturalistic conclusions. History is a lot fuzzier because there's no way to go back in time and be sure that a certain event happens. But nevertheless, historians are still scholars, and they still treat things with as much scientific skepticism as they can, which means that if you have the same kind of thing coming from multiple texts from people in various places in the world, that's considered to be more credible, but it could still be overturned with contradictory information. And that's how come, in general, we believe that we have sufficient information to demonstrate that, for instance, Julius Caesar existed. But we don't have sufficient information to believe the claims that were going around in Roman mythology that Julius Caesar was a god in human form.
Okay, that's good. We're good now. So history, again, you agree, it's very difficult. Right, because it's an event that occurred in the past. You can't recreate history, right? It's not something that's recreatable.
And it's also why people aren't really sure that Socrates existed or King Arthur existed, even though there are a lot of stories about it with a lot of wild stuff going on.
Okay, that's good. All right, so the origin of the universe, is that history or is that like...
That's
sort of
physics. That's physics, and I thought I probably needed to step in when you said history. We cannot recreate it. That's not entirely true. When you're making a claim about, say, the way that some physical object interacted with another physical object, You can recreate the conditions and test it. That's what testing is. You recreate the conditions under which some event was said to have occurred, and you see if you can replicate it.
I agree. If you know those conditions.
Okay.
That's the thing. So we're speculating. So we're looking back, and I'm not criticizing the scientific method. You have to. This is what you do. This is what scientists do. This is what they're paid to do. It's to look back and speculate on possible conditions for the early universe.
And
these are conditions that we actually cannot recreate.
You speculate, and then what you do is from your speculations, you figure out what are the implications of this idea I'm speculating about. What would I expect to find if my speculation is accurate? And if you look and you find multiple lines of evidence that fit your speculations, that's evidence that your speculation happened to be accurate.
Okay, agreed, but then again within limitations, because you made your speculations knowing a lot of this evidence, right? So say, most theories, the Big Bang, like most theories, we don't move away from them until we find something, right, that tells us, okay, this theory can't be true. We need to come up with something else that better explains all of the evidence.
By the way, to be fair, I just remembered that we have in the audience a physicist who doesn't think that the Big Bang is the best explanation for the origin of the universe. And I know he's going to give me hell for this if I don't later, if I don't bring it up. But he thinks that there is another physical explanation that fits the facts better than the Big Bang, but I'm not sure how popular that theory is right now.
But whatever it is, it does not invoke the influence of any supernatural forces, the existence of which cannot themselves be established.
Agreed, but then again, we're talking about something which we have very little knowledge of. Period. I would if
wait. Where are you getting this from?
How much we know about the universe?
Wait a minute.
Oh, go ahead.
We have the knowledge of all of the things all the observations that have been made over centuries of science. Where is this blanket statement that we don't know hardly anything about that coming from? Okay. Then let's estimate again. We're just spitballing here. How much do we know about the universe? This is just spitballing. We know what we know.
23.
Yeah, I mean, on what scale? I don't know how to answer that.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like the point is, how much? Like, because we know we don't know a lot.
Right? I think we can cut to the chase. Let me try to cut to the chase so we can wrap up this call and move on. Are you suggesting that because we do not know the limits of our knowledge, all kinds of other things might be true and we just don't know about them yet?
Is that unreasonable? Is that an unreasonable?
I think that's true, but I would further say that when we do not know what we do not know, that is not grounds for sticking in supernatural stuff.
It doesn't.
Yeah, okay. Then what do we have to talk about? We will know when we know. If we do not know now, then we do not know now, and using ignorance to justify belief in various supernatural things is foolish.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so we do not know now. We do not know the way the origins of the universe, what occurred. We know very little about our universe in general. I'm not buying that.
I'm not buying we don't know very much about the universe in general. Huh?
Were you trying to interject?
Yes, I'm not buying your claim that we do not know very much about the universe in general.
Okay. So you're saying that
the kind of stuff we know, Emmanuel, the kind of stuff that we do know tends to be the broad strokes, and it's, those broad strokes establish bounds. Like, we know pretty much for certain that hardly any stars in our galaxy are made of cream cheese, right? We know some very broad general things like that. And the things we do know, those broad observations, set some pretty severe limits on what else we might ever find out. We are not ever going to find out that star systems are made out of cream cheese. It ain't going to happen.
Okay, dark matter again is a fairly recent concept, and it's said to be responsible for 82% of the matter in the universe. We just made that observation.
Okay.
That this substance must exist.
And therefore what? Where are you going with this?
I'm simply stating that you can't look at what you know now, again, and then say, because really we know very little. And the bare fact of the fact is we know so little relative to our universe that it is almost 100% that any observation or statement that you make about the entire universe as a whole right now is false. Because
really? So star systems are made out of cream cheese. No, dude, that's not. I'm not buying it. Because there's stuff we don't know, therefore it's a bottomless pit and anything could be true, including invisible spooks that created it. No, come on. The time to believe a thing.
Of course, anything could be true. Now you're not.
Really, it could be true that star systems are made out of cream cheese.
No. I mean.
So not everything could be true, right? Not everything. There's stuff that violates broad general knowledge we have that can't be true. Huh? There's stuff that violates broad general knowledge we do have that cannot be true.
I agree.
Okay. No, I think where you're going with this ultimately is a great big roundabout way of getting to the argument from ignorance.
Not so much.
And the God of the gaps. And the God of the gaps, Emmanuel. We've heard this a million times before. The God of the gaps. Here, you're trying to establish that there's this vast amount of stuff we don't know and stick God in there, and we're not buying it. The time to believe that there's a God is when there's positive. Emmanuel. The time to believe that there's a God is when there is positive evidence that it exists, and not before.
Okay. All right. So you're willing to make claims and accept claims as an atheist that have not been proven. Again, that very small,
like what?
Very little evidence,
like what?
So to speak, to be able to describe them entirely. Such
claims
as
that have
naturalistic origin of the universe. That is something that no one can speculate
Emmanuel,
on.
What claims?
You're accusing us of believing claims that have not been proved, and I'm asking, like what?
Like a natural origin of the universe. That is a claim.
We know that here's what we believe about the origin of the universe. And Russell already went over this. I don't know why we're back on this territory,
at the beginning,
right?
Yeah.
That we know that natural forces exist. We know that. We do not know that supernatural forces exist. And if you want us to waste time, if you want scientists to waste time looking for supernatural forces that could have caused the universe, you are flapping your gums for no reason. They're not going to do it because they're not into wasting their time. When it is shown that there are supernatural forces at all, then we can start looking for supernatural origins for the universe, maybe. Not before.
Okay, awesome.
I think
now, what evidence?
Thanks for calling.
Man.
I didn't want to stop you, man.
Okay, I don't want to take up the whole show.
It was beautiful. We do have, 10 minutes, so I'm just going to remind people who are local that not to come, but we are going to happen to be at El Arroyo on 5th Street, so that's where we're going to be eating dinner at around 6.
A piece of knowledge they can do with as they will.
That's right. Although we may not know it. It may just be speculative. Dan in Hilton, New York.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi.
Thanks for having me on. Hey, I had the pleasure of debating the presuppositional apologist Cy ten Bruggencate.
Did you post this on Reddit by any chance?
Yes, it's on.
I have read it.
YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, if you Google Rochester Atheist Examiner, you'll bring up the video of the debate.
And anyway, he stole your stuff, right? I'm not going to step on you. Go ahead.
Anyway, I just want to share with you the what I call the rhetorical sleight of hand that the presuppositionalist uses whenever they encounter an atheist. it's kind of interesting. One of the main questions they'll ask is, can you be wrong about everything that you claim to know? And that's
That
actually a
sounds familiar.
trick. Yeah, it's a trick question, because the definition of the word know, which is a reasonable definition the presuppositionalists will use, is a justified true belief. But it turns out the very ground of our understanding, what I call necessary truths or axioms, are not knowledge claims in that they're not externally justified. So if you say, yes, I could be wrong about everything that I claim to know, the presuppositionalists will then attack you for not being able to know anything at all. It's really
Right,
just
but they'll
a-
also
it's a-
say, like Ray Comfort once said, well, you can't claim to know everything, but I can. And I
Right,
just say, no, you
right.
can't.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
bringing a God into the argument doesn't actually solve the problem that they're trying to solve. It just creates another thing that they claim to know that they don't know.
Right, right. Well, they actually put themselves in a trap, because they will claim to know for certain things about this God. For example, omnipotence, for example. So what they're claiming to have external justification for the very thing that they're presupposing. So they undermine their own argument when they do that. And very few atheists seem to recognize that when they encounter these presuppositionalists. But it's really, like I said, rhetorical sleight of hand that they try to confuse people with and bring in their God when it's not justified.
Dan, do you read the Atheist Experience blog by any chance?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, because I just got challenged to a inter-blog debate with a presuppositionalist, and I've been listening to a lot of stuff. Like, there was a couple episodes of the Reasonable Doubts podcast that were about presuppositional apologetics. And one of the things they pointed out was that what presuppositionalists think deep down is that you don't need to logically persuade atheists of God. You just need to get them to feel uncomfortable enough and express enough doubt that God will jump into their hearts.
Right.
That's really what they think, apparently.
Yes, I agree with you. That's exactly what they explicitly say, is that it's not really a choice, but that God will come in when you're ready for him to come into your heart, type of thing. So it doesn't make much sense.
Right. Did Sci-10 Bruggencate rip off your stuff and sell it, or was that somebody else?
No, that was I had heard about that happening to somebody else, but we had an agreement up front that we could both videotape the debate and do with it whatever we want. In fact, during the debate, I called presuppositionalism a gift from God, as it were, to atheists, because it actually undermines Christianity. So I want Sci to be as popular as possible, because what he's doing is painting himself into a corner, and he has no escape, because he has to trash the evidential arguments in order to promote his presuppositionalism. And as soon as you undermine presuppositionalism, he's stranded with nowhere to go. So when I say it's a gift from God, by the way, I'm just using God as a metaphor for reality. So I'm not talking about an actual existent entity. But.
So if he calls, would you recommend taking the call? Because he strikes me as kind of a dishonest scumbag that I'd be wasting my time on.
As long as you understand, some of the tricks that he has up his sleeve, the no question. If he asks you, for example, what truth is to you, and most people will use truth as that which corresponds to reality. Another trick that they'll use is they'll ask, who's reality? But in fact, what we do is create models of reality.
Right.
And then the evidence that best fits the model proves the model itself. And so they conflate actual reality with the model of reality. So that's another trick that they do. So as long as you understand those different tricks, then sure, take the call, do whatever you need to do to debate with him, and you shouldn't have any problem at all.
Okay. All right.
By the
Thanks
way,
for calling.
I just wanted to shout out. I emailed another presuppositionalist, Kerrigan Skelly. If anybody knows how to get in touch with him, I'd like to debate him or Eric Hovind, who's kind of taken up this whole presuppositionalist thing as well. So if there's any way that I can get in touch with these people or anybody interested in sponsoring a debate, I'd love to
All right.
engage them as well.
What's the group that people can contact you at?
Funy Group, which is FUNY Group.org. O-R-G.
Okay. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Bye.
You mentioned that, is this all presuppositionalists? Really, their motivation is just to make the atheist uncertain to the point where God can jump in?
There's like a playbook somewhere.
Are these the kinds of Christians who would have to take the blasphemy challenge seriously?
The blasphemy challenge
The denying the Holy Spirit thing, right? Which is supposed to be the one unforgivable sin?
I have no idea.
Which would immunize you from God ever jumping in. Then I'm wondering if they will even talk to a person who has immunized themselves from having the Holy Spirit jumping in by taking the blasphemy challenge, because that would render the entire exercise pointless.
Can't tell, but I mean, you know, they might reach people in the audience if there is an audience.
Just curious about the implications.
Okay. We got like a few more minutes, and so Bobby in Los Angeles, you're not going to be able to be on for very long, but what's on your mind?
Hey guys, how are you?
Fine.
We're great. What's up?
I don't know if you remember, I called you guys. I waited a long time to get this set up again, you guys, like Jeff and Russell, because I spoke with you before.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, and
I don't remember.
we spoke about a lot of things, but yeah, I'm still struggling with this, and I'm just calling today to say that having faith is a good thing, and it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, having faith in what is a good thing?
Well, a certain amount of faith is good, and
well, how much faith is good?
Should I have
Not too
faith
much.
that the stars are made of cream cheese?
No, definitely.
Yeah, you know, the dictionary
that's
definition...
the reason why I didn't really want to call in today, because a lot of the calls today was just too much, especially the first two callers from Oslo, Norway. They just make what I want to say that much harder and makes me sound stupid. And, you know, putting words in my mouth also makes me sound stupid. So please don't do that, you know. Another thing is...
I got questions for you, though.
But we only have a minute left.
Oh.
We'll have to pick you up after on hold. But
look,
well, the number one thing is this,
Bobby,
the Higgs particle that was discovered. If scientists didn't have faith in that particle, it wouldn't be discovered. It wouldn't
Scientists
have any
didn't
motivation
have
on
faith
people
in it.
to search for things.
Faith did
and
not... Wait a minute.
Having faith would actually,
Okay,
in
Bobby,
a way, have you,
Bobby,
you know,
you're
search for
playing...
things, search for answers,
Bobby,
search for meaning.
you gotta
Bobby,
stop him.
Okay.
Bobby,
I'll pick you
you're
up
on hold.
afterwards.
You're playing with the dictionary definition of faith, which you alluded to yourself. The word faith can be used for anything from just kind of making the assumption that any random chair you sit down on is going to bear your weight because you've got such a wide range of experience with chairs that they tend to do that thing, all the way to believing in invisible spooks in the sky that created the universe. There are huge, vast differences in those kinds of faith, and some of them are reasonable in some cases and some ain't.
Okay, that's our show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. If we didn't get to you, then hang on, and I guess we'll take you for a few minutes before we head for dinner at El Arroyo. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Russell. Bye, folks. Oh my gosh, we're getting flooded.